Oh, hello. Hey, I found out this week that I'm really good at art. Unfortunately, though, it's the art of procrastination. Anyway, I'm so pleased you called by because now I can make this video, which is all about editing photographs, obviously, but other people's photographs. I've had 2 amazing photographs sent to me, and I'm going to show you how I took them from being wonderful to wonderfuler. Or anyway, watch the video. Now, this wonderful shot was sent in to me by a lady called Jennifer Murphy O'Connor. Great name and a great photograph. And I'm going to take it from what you can see on the screen right through to the finished edit. But first of all, I just want to talk about some of the decisions that I made. One of them is I decided to crop it. So let's look at that. And I'll go through all the reasons later, but let me just show you what I did. It was cropped so it looked more balanced. It's a much more balanced photograph now. Then I went through the basic edits. Before I did, I decided to bring out the blue in the background, tone down the pink in the scarf, apply a post-crop vignette and take some of the texture up as well. So it went from what you can see on the screen at the moment to this. And I think that looks great, doesn't it? So let's go back to the cropped shot and then the one that's got the fix applied to it. Then, quite often I'm happy with the result, but I can't help myself and I always have to go one further. So I like to use, at the very end, some presets. And at the moment, it's looking still a little bit sharp and a bit digital. So I decided to apply a film preset. Now I use the Visual Supply Company presets. And in this case, I use Fuji Superior 400 film stock. So it went from what you can see on the screen now to this kind of softer version. Now that to me looks like it has come from a film camera. Do you know, the jury's still out whether the previous edit is better. But I always have a little go and just to see, you know, if one is better than the other basically. Then always I will do a black and white conversion. So this is what it looks like in black and white. And the black and white looks really striking as well, doesn't it? And then I couldn't help myself again and I made a National Geographic cover out of the image and that looked like that. So that, when you think about it, all came from this image here. So now let me take you through how I did it. So the first thing I'm going to do is crop the image. Now let me put the crop overlay tool on. And you can see the reasons, or I'll explain the reasons why I decided to crop it. Now, the Indian lady's face is right in the center of the screen. Now, you don't always have to follow the rule of thirds, but the rule of thirds says that you don't have any important information or the main part of the shot, the interesting part, in the center. And also it says that the eye line should be on this line here, this rule of third line here. So with that in mind, I am now going to crop this shot. And I'm going to bring that down. And I'm going to bring this down to round about, let's say, round about there. And I'll accept that. Just click on done. So that is a much better sort of balanced shot, isn't it? And again, if I just click on the grid again, you can see that the eye line is very close to this top line here. And as I say, it just makes for a much more balanced shot. And the graffiti is still in there because I know that Jennifer wanted to include the graffiti. It's still there. And all this lovely blue in the background is still there as well. So the next thing to do is the basic edits to get the exposure right. Now, looking at this shot, the exposure is pretty good anyway, but we can tweak it and make it look even better. So let's open the basic tools and I'll take you through what I did. So first of all, the blacks then. I'm going to drop the blacks slightly. The whites I'm going to take up to about 40, 43 will do it. Shadows I'm going to lift up slightly to about 20. And then the highlights just down to about -5. Okay, texture. Now I'm going to apply some texture to this just to get some bit more detail in the face, and I'm going to take that up to about let's see, round about 18 should do it, and a bit of vibrance as well, I think. Just be careful with this, but I'm going to take it up to about 20. Okay, and I'm just going to add a bit of contrast as well, so I'm going to take that up only slightly to about 6. Okay, now if you have a look at before and after now, you can see it's just a bit more punchy now, isn't it? And indicative of those fabulous colours in India. So yeah, so that is my basics so far. The white balance was fine, and the general exposure was fine, I think. So that would be my basic edits. And the next thing to do is to look at the background and the scarf colour as well. Now for the background, I'm going to use the adjustment brush. So let's open the window and select new, make sure everything is on 0. So I'll just double click to do that. And I want to put in some green into the background. Now it's already blue, but I want to sort of punch a bit of green into it. So I'm going to drop the green to around about there. I'm also just going to make it a tad bit darker. I'm just going to take the highlights down a little bit, and then that should do it really. Now to paint in, you can see me brush there. I hope you can see that there. You can see the brush there, brush size. I'm going to make sure that the flow is set to 100 and that the auto mask is on. Now with the auto mask on, it should allow me to paint the background without affecting the scarf areas. And there's a definite sort of contrast between the two, isn't there? So it should be pretty easy to do. And there you go, look, it's not going anywhere near the scarf. As long as I stay outside the scarf area, it should only make the adjustment to the background. So there you go. I kind of like that colour. It's only subtle, but it's quite nice. Now to just check that I haven't encroached into the scarf, if I press the letter O on the keyboard, it will show me the masked area in red, and I can see I've missed a little bit there. And there you go, I can just add that. Now once that's selected, and there's the node here in black, so I know that's active. The mouse over it goes red, as we know. And I could play around with that and perhaps put more green into it, or put more blue into it, or whatever I wanted to do. So I think I'll put it to around about, should we just leave it around about there? And yeah, so that is the background done. If I'm happy with that, I just click on done at the bottom and it's done. And let's see a before and after. So that's the before, Jenny's original shot, and that's the way it's looking now, and it's so much more punchy, isn't it? So I think the next thing to do is the scarf. So to change the scarf colour, I'm going to use the hue, saturation and luminance. So let's open that window. And first of all, let's try the hue. So I just simply click on this little tool here and drag it into the image. Now, the colour that I want to affect, just make sure I'm hovering over that colour, and I can just press my mouse key down and either go upwards or downwards, and that will change the hue. Now I am going to take it right down to -100, and it's telling me here that the scarf was basically magenta, and I have decreased the stronger colour was that, and I've changed the hue of the, well, I've changed the hue of the scarf, and you can see that, can't you? Also, it might be a little bit too saturated, so again I'm going to click on this tool, which is associated with the saturation. I'm going to drop that, and I'm not going to drop it too much, probably round about there should do it. So it's not as vibrant, because we want the lady, as I say, to be popping out of the shot and not the scarf. So I think that about does it for the scarf, and if I'm happy with that, again just click on done, and there you go, that's done. Let's look at it before and after. I do like doing this, I must admit. But that was the before, and that's the after. Now, lastly, I often like to apply a post-crop vignette to a portrait, and that just darkens the outside of the image, and it kind of draws you into where the subject matter is. So let's just apply some post-crop vignette. That lives in the effects set of tools, and here it is. So I'm going to drop it to round about, let's say round about 22 should do it. And yeah, that looks great. If you just looked at it without the vignette, it kind of looks like that. And with the vignette, it's drawing me in now to where the lady's face is. So that would complete the edits, the basic edits. Now I'm happy with that. Once I'm happy with that, I could save that as a snapshot and then move on, which is a good sort of little tip for you. Once you get to a certain stage, you think, yep, that looks kind of like what I was hoping it would look like. Save it as a snapshot. Call it whatever you want. I generally call it first edit. The reason I do that is because I often quite continue to do more edits on it. But you generally find that your first edit, go with your gut instinct if you like, and you quite often you get it right. Now, I did say I would apply a filter to this shot, so let's have a look at how easy it is to do that basically. So let's have a look at the presets then. Now I have a set here from the Visual Supply Company. So I can, as I scroll through the various presets, you can see, well, it's changing on the screen, isn't it? So you can sort of choose which one you like the best. Now, it keeps going back to this one. That's quite magical, isn't it? It kept sort of, as I was scrolling, then jumping to this one for some reason, which is, oddly enough, the exact one I want to use, which is a Superior, it's hard for me to say that, Fuji Superior 400. And I would just simply click on that. And there you go, it's done. So let me just collapse that panel. And yeah, I actually, looking at it now, I really, really do like that that preset, that film stock. So that's what Jenny's original shot looked like. And it's a fabulous shot, and I'm quite jealous of it, to be honest. I've never been to India, but that's a great shot. But eventually with the edits, it looked like that. Now, I hope Jenny likes it. I'm sure she will. And it was fairly easy to do, wasn't it? It was quite painless. It does help having a brilliant shot, but you can see that even having a brilliant shot, you can make it so much better with a minimal amount of effort. You just have to learn a little about colours and just trust your instincts. It's, it will come to you eventually and you will make the right decisions. So that is what I eventually ended up with. And again, I would save that as a snapshot and then I would go on to do a black and white version. So let's take a look at that in full screen. And it looks wonderful, doesn't it? Now, if we look at Jenny's original shot, then it looked like this. Now, it's a great shot, as I say, but I think the cropping has helped it a hell of a lot. And then just, sort of manipulating those colours and just a general fix, it looks wonderful, doesn't it? Right, I did promise you a black and white, didn't I? So let's have a look very quickly at black and white, because I think that's a whole new video on its own. But I'll show you the way I do it. Okay, now I use a plugin for my black and white shots. You perhaps won't have this plugin, and that's why I'm reluctant to show you how I do it, but I'm sure some of you will be interested. So if I just right click on the image itself, I can find this, edit in, and I will edit it in Silver Efex Pro 2. Now you can obviously create a black and white image using Lightroom on its own, but I do love this plugin. And if you can get hold of it, I would strongly advise it. So I'm going to click on it and it will prompt me, do you want to edit with a copy of the Lightroom adjustments you've made so far? And yes, I would. So I'm going to click on edit and a whole new window will open up. Now it's the Silver Efex Pro 2 interface. Now there are currently 38 different types of black and white image. And of course you can create your own as well. Now for me to take you through how this works, as I say, it's a whole new video. I have some favorites that I've created here, and there you go, straight away. That is just an awesome black and white, isn't it? And or I could have a softer version of that. And here, the controls on this right hand side, they're just endless. And as I say, I can't really take you through because it's a whole new video. And but yeah, and you can even pick which type of film stock you want as well, which is just amazing, isn't it? As well as being able to tone the image, a nice copper tone on, for instance, and that looks great, doesn't it? If I was happy with that, I would just click save, and it creates a whole new version, which is now this black and white version. So that's the previous image there, and as I say, it creates a whole new image, which is this black and white one here. If you would like me to take you through the black and white process in full detail, just leave a comment down below. I'm sure there's plenty of YouTube videos that will take you through the Silver FX Pro, but if you'd like me to do it in my style, then as I say, leave a little comment below. But essentially, that's the image fixed. And it looks marvellous, doesn't it? On to the next image. So this next shot comes in from Trevor Austen. And here it is here. Now Trevor completed my DSLR Part 1 course a couple of weeks ago, and this is one of the shots that he captured during the day. And this is when I teach the students how to photograph a moving object. And we were very lucky because this Lamborghini came racing past. Now Trevor's done a great job of it. How can I make that better then? Well, let me show you my thought process in this then. So this is the shot, as I say, that Trevor has produced. So let me show you what I did. I obviously cropped it first because it does need that. So it went from what you can see there to this. And it's just, I don't know, it's just balanced better, isn't it? It just looks better. And I love this white car, you know, going in the opposite direction. One of the problems with this shot though, however, is it's just to do with exposure. I mean, Trevor's done nothing wrong at all, but obviously it's darker inside the car than what it is, you know, in the surrounding environment. So it would be nice to see the driver and the the passenger of the car, the occupants basically. That's what I meant to say, and also bring up the detail in the wheels. Now I had black alloy wheels on. This type of shot always works better if they're lighter coloured alloy wheels, but hey ho, it is a Lamborghini at the end of the day. So what I did was I lifted the shadows in the interior of the car, and to make the car really jump out of the screen, a little trick I did was to colour the background slightly green, like a teal colour if you like. Now filmmakers will tell you that the orange and teal look is very popular, and it is because they're at opposite ends of the colour spectrum, so they sort of balance together really, really nicely. So let me show you what it looked like after I'd completed the edits. So let's go full screen so you can get the full effect. It looks really, really good. It's straight from a movie, I think. Fast and Furious. And I've never seen a Fast and Furious film, but I can imagine that's what it looks like. So let's crack on with this and I'll show you how I did it. Okay, let's go right back to the start then. So this is how the photograph came in from Trevor. So the first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to take a little look at the lens correction just to see if there's any distortion that needs to be removed. So click on chromatic aberration. If you watch one of my other videos, you'll find out all about chromatic aberration. Check the box anyway. And then enable the profile lens correction. And there you go. It's kind of just, if I switch that on and off, you'll be able to see it's just taken out that little bit of distortion. So that's the first thing I would do with that. And then I would crop the image. Okay, so pulling in the handles then around the crop overlay tool. Actually, do you know what I'm going to do? Rather than do that, I'm going to change the ratio, and I'm going to change it to 16:9. Now 16:9 is a film aspect ratio. It's kind of when you watch a movie at home, it's generally in widescreen, which is 16:9. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it as 16:9. And I want to make sure I keep in this white car just here. And that's looking okay. Perhaps just bring it down ever so slightly and possibly a little bit up from there. That looks okay. Now another little thing is I might want to straighten this image. Now if you've got an image that you need to be completely horizontal, is that? Yeah, horizontal. I'm going to click on this angle tool here, and I know if I just click here and drag, I'm going to draw a line from where I started right along the length of that central piece of road, and it's only changed it slightly, but it has straightened that image up. And of course you can click and drag as well and move it around that way. I think something like that looks fine. Let me just see, possibly around about there. And if I'm happy with that, I'll just click on done, and there's the crop. Now there's a bit more space here. I like that because the car has got space to move into. That's my sort of the way I look at that. And as I say, now this is now a 16:9 image. Now if I wanted to change that, I can always unlock this and perhaps bring it in and do it that way. There's many different ways of altering this image, and I think something like that, I know I've just opened it again and changed it from 16:9, but that's the power of editing, isn't it? You can change your mind, and I am going to go with that, and I think that's perfect. So as always, I'd start with the basic edits. So let's just have a quick look then. I think I will lift the blacks a little bit up to around about, say, 17. Whites a little bit as well, about 11. Shadows I'm going to bring up. You'll see the wheels start to come to life as I do that. So I think the shadow detail up to about, say, 37, 38, 37 will do. And I'm going to drop the highlights to about -20. White balance is okay, I think, so I'm going to leave that. And for now, it's a nice contrasty, bright image. I may do something with the vibrance later on, but for now, that is kind of like the basic look, my basic starting point. So I will move on to the next stage, which is the occupants of the car. Now I want them to be, they're kind of in the shadow at the moment, aren't they? So I need to just increase the exposure just inside the car. Now to do that, I'm going to use the adjustment brush. So as always, click on new and then reset the tool. Now I don't need the brush that big. That said, I will zoom in to round about there. That's a bit better, isn't it? Now what am I going to do with the occupants then? So I'm going to lift the exposure up to about there. The shadows as well, I'll take up to about, I don't know, about 18. And saturation up to about 50, I think. Just to sort of make the occupants a bit more colourful. And also, I think by doing this, from experience, that will introduce some noise. So I am going to increase the noise reduction up to about 63. 62, that'll do. Now, I've got the auto mask switched on and my flow is 100%, and I'm just going to take the brush down a bit smaller and I will start to paint in, and you can see that guy in the passenger seat has really come to life now. And we'll try and get the driver as well, just to be a little bit more detail there. Now hopefully this auto mask is doing a good job of not. I'm going to do his hand as well. Don't know where that came from, it just jumped into my head. Now I'm going to press the letter O, and you can see I've missed bits there. That's the great thing about being able to do that. And I'm just going to carry on painting in that area, and now press the letter O and see what that looks like. And I'm happy with that. I think that looks really good, doesn't it? So let's have a look at it before and after with the occupants. Do you know what? I struggle with some words. The occupants, there you go. Nice and dark, now brightened, and you can see them. And let's just zoom out, and that looks great, doesn't it? Again, a before and after of the occupants. That looks fab. So I would click on done there because I'm happy with that. And the next thing to look at then is the background, and for that I'm going to use the graduated filter tool. So what I want to do with the background is to introduce some green, this lovely teal colour. I don't want to do it too much, but let me show you first what I mean. Let's put the settings in first. So again, new, make sure everything's centered, and I'm going to take the temperature down to -40. So that's going to put some blue in. And a little bit of green as well, actually quite a lot of green. I'm going to go to around about 65. Now again, whenever you make an adjustment like that, it's non-destructive, isn't it? So you can always change your mind and change it. I'm also going to take some of the texture out because I'm going to soften the background slightly as well. So let's take it down to say about -54. And I might change my mind actually, but I'm going to increase the saturation up to around about there. Now I'm going to place a point roughly here, and I'm going to drag downwards. Now look at that, I've made the background lovely and green. I've put my finger on the shift key. That should constrain it so it's going vertically downwards. So there you go, and I'll let that go. And as you can see, I've put this lovely teal colour into the background. Now, actually, don't know whether to just drag that down a little bit more. Okay, round about there. Now, a consequence of doing that is that some of it might have gone onto the car. Some of that correction and that colour might have gone onto the car. Now, again, if I press the letter O, it will show me where the adjustment has been made, and you can see it's gone onto the car. So what I'm going to do with this now is I'm just going to show you how to do it, but I'll speed the video up because I don't want you to really watch me doing this. It's not very interesting. But I need to erase the adjustment off the car, and to do that, I'm still in the graduated filter tool, but I'm going to click on brush, and I'm going to click on erase. Okay, and the auto masks is on as well, and I can now paint out any of that adjustment that I don't want to be on the car. So I will be back shortly because I don't really want you to sit there, hang around watching me doing this. So I'll see you very soon. So there you have it. Now what I decided to do, I'm just going to click on done. What I decided to do was leave some of the green in the windows, and obviously I've left some in here because obviously that's part of the background, and in the windscreen and this little side window here, and I think that looks great, doesn't it? So that's the background completed. Now I will now have to do the foreground, but I'm not going to do it as strong as what I've made the background colour, but I do need to do something similar with the foreground. And to do that, I'm going to use our friends, the adjustment brush. So again, it's a new one, isn't it? And we just make sure all those are centered on 0. And again, I'm going to put some blue in, say -10 maybe, and I don't know, -35. And I will just paint in the foreground. And again, make sure auto mask is switched on, and I'm just going to zoom out a bit, and just lightly, as you can see, it is not as dramatic as the way I made the the background. Just slightly, just so it all kind of makes sense. Make the brush size a bit smaller there, and just come in here and do the round about the back of the car. Okay, and the same here on this piece of pavement, or sidewalk as you say in America. And there you go. And it's only slight, but that's enough for me. Again, press O, see if I've missed any. And no, that looks fine, doesn't it? I've bled slightly over there, but it doesn't really matter because it was only a slight correction. So I'm happy with that, and I'm going to click on done. And that looks great, doesn't it? So the next adjustment would be the wheels. Now I just want to brighten the actual shadows, areas if you like, in the wheels. So I'm going to use the adjustment brush again for that. So again, click on new, reset everything. And with the wheels, I'm going to take the shadows up to say +10. And that might be just enough actually to do it. And just paint in just around here. And it's only subtle, but you know, we can do those brake calipers as well. So it's only subtle, and yeah, that will do. I could always come back and make that brighter. Let's just take the the exposure up a little bit maybe. No, see, I don't like that. So it only needs to be subtle, and that will do. But while I'm here, I'm going to do another new one. So again, reset everything. And for this one, I'm going to lift the shadows up. I'm going to lift them up a little tiny bit more, maybe to about 18, because I want to do the grille at the front and just brighten that up as well. So I'm going to bring more detail back into the little inlet grille at the front. Now there's one here as well. I don't know if that's going to make any difference, but let's try it. And that looks fab, doesn't it? So I'm happy. Now look, on here now we've got quite a number of adjustments. Remember this one we did? If I just click on here, make that active. They're the occupants. This is the foreground. And again, if I just mouse over long enough, it will go red to show me. And this is the grille on the front. Actually, just clicking on there, if I make that the active node and press O, I spotted a little problem before, and that was the fact that I've spilled onto the wheel just here. So I'm just going to remove that by using the erase brush. And there's a little bit on here as well, isn't there? So I'm going to take that off. Anywhere I don't think it should be. It shouldn't be on there, should it? We don't want any green on there. And just here as well. And to be honest, just along there as well. And as I've always say, that's the power of Lightroom, because you can just readjust things, you know, to taste whenever you think you need to. So I'm going to click on done because I'm happy with that. So almost there. Two more things I'm going to do. The first one will be to sharpen the image slightly. Now Trevor's done a great job of panning along and matching the speed of the car, but it could do with a tiny little bit of sharpening, I think. So to do that, I'm going to go to the detail tools, and I'm going to go to the sharpening section. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Let's see if we can go in one more time. Okay, round about there. And I'm going to put my finger on the Alt or Option key, depending on what computer you've got. And I'm going to drag this masking slider across. And I only want the edges. So you can see all the edges of the image have now got a white outline around them. So I'm going to do it to about there and then increase the sharpening. I've got to make sure I don't introduce any noise when I do it. And it wasn't a particularly noisy shot anyway, so that looks great, doesn't it? Let's say before and after. I don't know if it will show up on YouTube, but that has really sharpened that image. Now I'm going to zoom in again and just play around with the detail. Oh, it's a bit better, isn't it? Okay, so I think Let me see before and after. Yeah, it's not adding any noise. And that looks great, doesn't it? It will do when this side regenerates. There you go. And it looks sharper now, doesn't it? Should we see a before and after then? So this is how Trevor's shot looked when it was cropped. And then with the edits I've done so far, it looks like this. And it looks great, doesn't it? So the last thing I'm going to try on it then is a post-crop vignette. Now, it may not need it, but let's have a little look anyway. So open the effects tools and just add that vignette around the outside. And we don't do too much, possibly around about there. And that looks great, doesn't it? So let's see a before and after then. So that's the before and that's the after. And let's go full screen. And that looks really, really good, doesn't it? I've noticed that there's a bit of green that has gone onto the driver's sunglasses, but I kind of like that. I always take it off, but I do like that. So that looks great, doesn't it? Now, I could, at this stage, take another little look at the basic tools and see if I could perhaps increase some contrast. Now, I might not need it, but let's just have a little look. So I'm going to take the contrast up and up to about 38. Now, that is a little bit too much, isn't it? It does look nice, though. But I reckon around about 25 should do it. And again, you can back that off. You can add more. It's all subjective, isn't it? You know, it's whatever you feel, whatever your taste is, basically. So finally then, a before and after. This is the completed image, and that's what it started off like. And it looks great, doesn't it? It was fairly easy to do. And I think along the way there, I've showed you quite a number of different ways of doing things. And what I'd really love you to do is send me some of your photographs. So in the link below, I will post an email address, and please send me some of your shots. Now, I can't promise to do them all, and don't be upset if I don't do your shot. But I will pick some shots and I will edit. And I do like editing other people's photographs. It's great, isn't it? So I hope you enjoyed that little video. Now, if you did, there's 3 little things I want you to do. Put a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already done. No, I put 5 fingers up. And consider clicking on the little bell icon to be notified of further uploads. Now, also in the description below, there is an email address, and if you click on that and attach one of your photographs, it'll magically come through to me. Now, depending on how many photographs come through to me, I will do my best to edit them. Now, don't be upset if I don't edit yours, because there could be absolutely loads. It doesn't mean that I don't like your photograph. Now, when I do edit them, I'll put it together in a little video, and I'll pop that up on YouTube as well. So listen, above all else, thanks very much for watching, and you take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next I was doing so well. The next upload. Take care and bye for now.
Take a photograph and make the moment best ever perfect. Photograph.